new school year, the students are nervous and unsure of what to expect. The first few years of school are important to a child's development. My lesson unit consisted of 3 lesson plans that follow the theme of the fall-autumn season. The students were able to see differentiated instruction during a portion of these lessons. While preparing the lessons, I knew beforehand that not every child learns the same way, and I will take some time to work with other students that are struggling. However, the lessons were created for all students, and slight modifications were made for students that I knew may or may not have some learning disabilities. Since they are in preschool, I try to make sure that they were age-appropriate and to their cognitive abilities. In the first lesson plan, the topic was about learning about the fall season. The objective of the lesson was to have the students show interest, pleasure, and enjoyment in listening activities, in which they would respond with appropriate eye contact, body language, and facial expressions. The outcome of the lesson was for the children to develop listening and observational skills as they learn about the different colors the leaves change in the fall. In the first lesson, we read the fall story, Fall Leaves Fall, in shared reading time. As a group, we talked about the previous season, which was summer. We then discussed leaves on trees and the color leaves change in the fall. I prompted the children and asked them questions about the book, and the children were able to answer the questions I had about the book. Students were able to tell me the colors we read about in the book, and the colors we read about were red, brown, and orange. Once we finished talking about the colors, then the students returned to their seats to complete their independent work. They worked on their leaf-colored booklets. They were instructed to color the same color leaves from the story. I worked with students who I saw struggling and were not sure which color crayons to use, and I assisted them with using the correct color. Overall, the students were able to master this task on their own with little guided assistance. The materials that I used for this assignment were crayons and a 3-page booklet. Each of the booklets contained the name of the color. After the students read the booklets, we then sat on the carpet again and discussed our booklets. I then asked each child to name a color leaf that can be seen in the fall. Each student was able to say at least one color they used. Majority of the students used a new vocabulary word in describing their booklets. The students were able to learn new vocabulary words as well as differentiate between seasons from summer to fall. The students were also able to demonstrate with prompting and support, ask and answer about details in the text. With prompting and support, they were also able to retell familiar stories. They were also able to identify new meanings for familiar words and apply them accurately according to the standards. My second lesson plan was about scarecrows and how they can help people. The outcomes of the lessons were the students will be able to describe parts of a scarecrow. They will also know why and how they are used. They will develop listening skills, including the words to the song that can be associated with a scarecrow. After the lesson, the children will be able to identify words associated with a scarecrow. First, the lesson will consist of a song about scarecrows with the melody Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. The children will stand up for the song on the circle rug time. They will then follow my lead as I do all the instructed moves from the melody. After we are done, we will discuss a scarecrow. I will then give them some history on scarecrows and how they helped farmers years ago. After we discuss the scarecrows, I will then read the book, The Little Scarecrow Boy. I will then ask them questions about the book, and then I will let them know that scarecrows come in many different colors and have many different faces. Students will then create their own scarecrows. Once we are finished with the scarecrows, we will discuss the topic of scarecrows again at rug time. I will have students do turn and talk about their scarecrows. I will assess the students informally to see who understood the concept of scarecrows. For those students that need additional support and did not quite get the lesson, I will work with them probably for the next day or so on a one-on-one and just kind of explain scarecrows again in a different form and maybe use a different book. In the third lesson plan, the students will be able to differentiate between a jack-o'-lantern and a pumpkin. I will remind the children about autumn and the many items associated with autumn. I will ask them if they have ever gone to pick a pumpkin from a farm. The material will include materials already found in the classroom. I will have the work that is not only age appropriate but also meets the requirements for the curriculum. It will be prepared prior to the instruction. Each student will have a crayon with their name on their box. They will have to find their names on each box. This will help them with their alphabet and also their thinking skills. Scissors will be incorporated in this lesson. This will help the child with their fine motor skills development. I will also expose the children to interactive technology, such as a smartboard. This will be helpful for those students who are visual and auditory learners. We will first listen to a song about jack-o'-lanterns and pumpkins, and then I will ask the students questions about the topic of the day. We will then read the story of Jack-o'-lantern. After we finish reading the story, we will then discuss the story, and I will prompt the students with questions about the story. I will look to see who has learned key details from the story, and those who did not respond and who seem to be struggling. After they are done discussing at circle time on the rug, we will then return to our seats and we will work on creating our own jack-o'-lanterns. I will have cutouts already made for them, and they will be able to create their faces with the material provided. They will be able to cut and paste their own faces as they'd like. Once they are done, we will then return to the carpet time, and then we will discuss their jack-lanterns. I will then allow each child to demonstrate their jack-o'-lantern, and I will show the children how different all jack-o'-lanterns can be. Once we are done, we will then head outside to pick our very own pumpkins. The children will be able to pick ones that are small and big, and that way they can compare and contrast once they return to the classroom. Once we return to the classroom, we'll be able to discuss the sizes of our pumpkins and the difference between our jack-o'-lanterns that we made earlier in the day and the pumpkins that we picked. These lessons planned